Are we canon now? And am I animated now? Today, I'm going to be discussing the second episode of Doctor Who Season 2 / Series 15 / Series 41, titled LUX, and how I felt about a very ambitious and potentially very divisive episode. If this is your first time joining me for a review, I tried to add a little bit extra, so before the series began, I tried to predict the quality of each episode using state-of-the-art technology, aka one of my cats and a percentile die. Let's go ahead and see what they predicted LUX would be like. Samson unfortunately predicted that the episode wouldn't be very good, and the D% predicted that it would be a 30 out of 100. So, is this prediction accurate? I could never rate it that low. I truly do not think I could ever rate it that low, but I did have some things I didn't quite like about the episode. I prioritize positivity, and I know that it can really be a breath of fresh air sometimes, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I did really like about the episode and just some general comments before I go into any negatives. I will say there will probably be an entire segment just for that scene with the fans and the fourth wall break. I loved the opening to the episode, the way that Mr. Ring-a-Ding came to life, and the way that he was taunting the audience and how he crawled out of the screen was all done so well, and it was really creepy and really cool. The way that he / Lux just moves and emotes and interacts with the environment, I think was done really well, if that makes sense. Like, I never felt unconvinced about him interacting with the other characters or any sort of disconnect between him and like the setting around him. Lux turning real, like getting the body at the end of the episode, was pure nightmare fuel. Like, that's gonna haunt me. It was so gross looking. Alan Cumming does a great job of voicing Lux and was easily a highlight of the episode. The episode in general utilized the concept of, film and animation very well. I mean, I do wish that the scene with the Doctor and Belinda being animated had maybe lasted a bit longer, but it was such a nice touch to have them turn actually, like, literally more three-dimensional as they expressed feelings that they hadn't quite yet. It was really cool to see them interact with the boundaries of film and reality in the same way that Lux did. Secondly, the Doctor and Belinda continue to shine individually, but especially as a duo. The dress-up scene in promos, I think a lot of us were really nervous that they would just sort of get rid of the part of Belinda that is really reluctant to travel and really wants to go home, that there would sort of automatically be this super fun relationship to the Doctor and traveling in the TARDIS, and thankfully that doesn't seem to be the case. Even after getting dressed up and seeing Miami and, having her moment of fun and awe, it's still almost like she has to be, like, charmed by the Doctor into staying and going on to the adventure. And she still challenges him, like in the diner when he seemingly is dismissive of her reaction to Jim Crow laws. She asks him, how could you say that? Like, she still stands up to him. I love how smart and strong and kind of snappy Belinda is. I think that she handles herself really well, especially against the Doctor. Like, these two characters just, they play off of each other so well. About me thinking she's a Time Lord. Okay, last episode, people picked up on something that I actually didn't, which is that Belinda seems to know the name of the TARDIS before the Doctor has mentioned it. The scene with them in the TARDIS, and they're talking about, can someone help fix the TARDIS to get Belinda home? Belinda says, okay, let's go home to Gallifrey. Not, okay, let's go to Gallifrey, or okay, let's go back to your home. She says, let's go home to Gallifrey. Which to me has this air of like, that's her home too. Either way, I just hope she's not Susan, okay? Because these two have great chemistry, and there's been moments that have inspired people to ship them, as in see them as a romantic pairing. I'm just really hoping that a bunch of people aren't getting bamboozled into shipping incest, basically, is my fear here. Once again, the set, the costuming, just all of the designs and the entire environment of the episode, gorgeous. Again, great job to all of the crew that were involved with that. Amazing work. With that said, on to some things that I didn't fully like about the episode. While the concept and performance of Mr. Ring-a-Ding / Lux are really great, his actual, like, character and his motivations and goals as a villain didn't quite make sense to me. In the end credits, for example, when the fans are pointing out the flaws of the episode, they mention how his motivations change. And I was just kind of sitting there and I was like, did they? And I think it hit me that, like, I didn't understand what his motivations were in the first place. I am quite nervous that there's somehow something really, really obvious about it that I'm just not picking up on, and I probably, like, look stupid. But I did try to keep track and follow that and keep an eye out for that on rewatch, and I kind of just ended up with more questions. I'm certain, of course, that he wants to have a proper body to be able to go outside without all of that light oversaturating and dispersing him. But also, at the end of the episode, that happens, and he kind of seems, like, relieved about it. He also talks about, like, moonlight and everything, but it kind of seems like he came from moonlight already, because that reflected off of the spoon and into the movie and was what kind of brought him to life as Mr. Ring-a-Ding. So, like, did he want a body to go outside and get the moonlight and then not have a body again, or would that just keep fueling him? Would he keep turning bigger? And with him talking about lights and the world and everything, I feel like that means maybe he means to destroy the world or hurt the world through explosions, because there's all the stuff with the atom bomb at the beginning of the episode and light and everything. But if that was the case, then I would think his motivations hadn't changed, because he would need a body to go outside and do anything with the atom bombs. I think there might also be some disconnect for me, because it doesn't seem like Lux is actually consuming or absorbing light as it fuels him, and it doesn't seem to make things any darker or anything like that, which is different from Maestro, who consumed music, and thus there was an absence of it that had, like, the disastrous consequences for the world. I'm no scientist, but a quick Google told me that light can travel indefinitely until it's absorbed, and he's presumably absorbing it because it's fueling him. So wouldn't the light stop traveling and it would make things darker? This is turning into such a long tangent, hoping that maybe by rambling and getting my thoughts and questions out there, one of you or someone else might make it more clear for me. Before I move on, it wasn't quite clear why Lux would have had to obey the film/song, or why that wasn't used going forward in the episode. I thought maybe that, like, you know, I believe it was in The Devil's Chord, where they said that you can only use one trick once. But the projectionist knowing to do that, to me at least, implies that he had done it before. So maybe intention matters when you're pulling the tricks or playing with the gods. Or maybe I somehow missed the film of Mr. Ring-a-Ding getting destroyed. I don't know. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. The event of the night / the episode / whenever you're watching this. The scene with the fourth wall break and the Doctor Who fans. I have mixed feelings on this scene, okay? I cannot bring myself to hate it. I did think the scene was quite cute. Okay, I think there were a lot of fun nods to the Doctor Who fan community, like the joke about leaks, for example, I thought was really funny, because apparently the existence of this scene did actually leak online, which, by the way, kind of contributes to my theory about Doctor Who intentionally leaking things to gauge fan reactions ahead of time and drum up social media engagement, but that's like a whole other discussion. I also thought it was really funny that the fans kept choosing Blink as their favorite episode, despite the Doctor trying to highlight all of the other adventures that he's been on. It read to me as a small gag about how people will always recommend the same episodes and even the same eras despite Doctor Who's extensive history. I also have to say, as a woman in the Doctor Who fandom, we are definitely not listened to or included or highlighted as much as men, so it was nice to see that it wasn't just men portrayed as the Doctor Who fans. I got really emotional. Maybe it's just me reading too far into it. Probably is. But the scene felt like fans saying goodbye to the Doctor, and the Doctor saying goodbye to fans in perhaps more than just the context the episode gives us. Paired with Mrs. Flood's comments about the show being a limited run and ending May 24th, which also, I'm pretty sure the finale is scheduled to air the 31st, so I'm not sure of anything about that. Maybe we'll have a double premiere, or maybe I'm just completely getting my dates wrong. But anyway, all of it just kind of contributes to this building anxiety I've been having about the show going on hiatus, or a hiatus. after this season because, of course, we don't know if Disney is going to renew their deal yet. On a better emotional front, it was really touching to see fans be able to express to the actual Doctor how much of an impact he and the show has had on their lives. On the flip side, the second that they panned out from that TV and I realized what was happening, it felt like I was just completely taken out of the episode. Like the whole episode just stopped. And I'm not quite sure that the episode was ever able to get back into itself because the scene alone is so jarring and it has so many implications for the future. I think it would have really helped if this scene felt more connected to the episode outside of just the physical components of film and the screen. Like, maybe if Mr. Ring-a-Ding had more to do with wanting to be real, or if there was a stronger theme throughout the episode of, like, the power of stories or the media. Since this episode effectively confirms the fan theory that the Doctor has been inside of a TV show the whole time, or at least since the beginning of this era, paired with Mrs. Flood's comments, I have no doubt that this scene has mainly to do with the series arc as a whole. Maybe once all is said and done, it will feel a lot more fitting. But for now, I only have the context of this episode, and of course an episode review is reviewing the episode in isolation. And I do think that this scene was really jarring, and it could have been a lot more cohesive to bridge the first and second half of the episodes, rather than just feeling like a complete pit stop with and also don't forget to, like, defeat the villain, and here's a major hint on how to do it, because it just ends up overshadowing the rest of the episode for me. If we were to discuss the scene in the greater context of the series, it is worrying. I'm not completely opposed to this idea for what it's worth, but it's safe to say that this is the most ambitious concept that Doctor Who has ever tried to pull off. And because of that, because it's that sort of concept, I really do feel like it all has to land and work perfectly. And with so many things that could go wrong or fall flat, I am just nervous, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that they can pull this off. I do have to say, I'm so curious about what implications this has for the Doctor going forward. Like, is he gonna talk to us more or question things more because he knows that we're there now? Like imagine it's like Dora, where all of a sudden the Doctor's in a tight spot and he's like, "Do you see the sonic screwdriver?" Brilliant! In conclusion, I feel that Lux was a fairly good episode that executes its concept extremely well. The creativity, the designs, the performances, they're all amazing, and they absolutely lived up to what I hoped for. Unfortunately, I don't feel that the story was as cohesive or as powerful as it could be, given all of the pieces and potential that it brings to the table. I've never been more curious to hear what you think. Like, commenting is mandatory unless you're a bigoted idiot. Like, the time is now. I need to know what you thought about it, especially about the fourth wall break and the fact that we're all canon now. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more from me, feel free to pull a Sutek and latch onto my channel via subscribing. But in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe, happy, and healthy. I hope you're having a great day, night, whatever time it is for you, and don't forget to leave cookies out for Doctor Who in case he crawls out of your TV.